Look at these guys. What a beautiful bunch. This morning, the Sore Muscle Marathon continues. The weather's turned colder. It's about 35 degrees this morning. I think winter's knocking on the door. So Hillary and I got to get the barn finished. We're going to start with that this morning. But before we get started, I wanted to ask you to please subscribe to the channel. We have almost 50,000. We're so close, and I'd like to get over that hump. So if you're watching, you enjoy this video, just click the subscribe button down there. Here's my partner in crime. Ready to get started?
Yeah.
One of our barn posts had rotted out. We removed the old post in the last video. Now we have to dig out the below ground portion to set the new post. Rotten wood. At least I can see where the post was. We might as well try pulling it with a chain, although I have my doubts. We'll give her a try. Oh, let's try it. Yeah! Dull. Fairly sharp. Next, I got to cut out the top of the old column so that we can tilt the new one into place. We got to cut the nails off flush so that the new column can go in where it's supposed to. Hey, look who showed up. Hi, Ezra. How are you doing? She'll inspector of the work.
With small nuts in it now. From the squirrel nest.
Oh, man.
That squirrel's gonna be bitter.
Who moved my cheese and who stole my nuts? I measure up that far. It always breaks just before you're there. You're like, I'm gonna make it, I'm gonna make it. No! 16 foot 3 to the ground. Plus 5.5 for the rafter.
No, I gotta go check the fire. I'll be right back.
Oh, okay.
No, really.
One of Hillary and my jokes is when we were working on renovating the house, Hillary would say, well, I got to go in and do laundry, because we were living in a trailer next to the house at the time. And she would go in there and come back like an hour later, especially if I was doing something particularly dirty, like ripping down old plaster. So it's been a joke with us ever since. I just put this stuff in dry. It'll harden up on its own, and that way the post will sit on it until it hardens up, and it'll make a puck under the post. I just put one screw up in the top to hold it in place, and now we're going to plumb it both ways, and then we can fill in the hole. Now that the post is in and the hole is filled, we got to go up and replace that front 2x12 and that front 2x12 because they aren't in very good shape. I'm going to cut it out in pieces with the Sawzall, take them out, and then we'll lift a new one up and put it in.
battery went kaputski.
Running out of juice again.
Oh no!
Well, all my drill driver batteries are dead, so I guess we're gonna have to take a break. Should have charged them before. We had a delightful lunch of leftovers, and it's time to get back to work. All the batteries are charged up now. Hey, did you hear the one about the skunk?
No, I didn't.
Never mind, it stinks.
That's terrible.
All my jokes stink, don't they? Good thing we keep extra lumber in the barn. It's like an on-site store. Hi, ladies and little one. How are you all doing? Back with it. Yeah. What's brown and sticky?
What?
A stick.
Oh,
Duh.
jeez.
Jeez. I went all the way up there and there's no battery in my drill. All right, now it's hammer time. Well, that's it for that job today. Well, we just got to finish this 2x12 and we can do that in a morning easy. It looks pretty good. While I'm out here in the old barn, I wanted to show you how the floor is holding up. You remember, we filled this with item 4 gravel, which is a mixture of sand and silt and small stones, and I am really happy with it. They're not sinking into this at all, and they're actually bedding it fairly nicely in most areas. They'll pull enough hay out through the feeders to bed it, and geez, it's solid. It's so much better for the cows. And I'm really happy with it. Holy cow, Orden. Look at Orden's belly. I think he's been eating pretty well. Orden, are you full yet? Some of our cattle have horns, and people ask about that. The reason that a few have horns is we bought them that way when we were building our herd. So Carrie here is 11 or 12 years old. She's got horns. And there's one other there, Patty, has horns. She's eating in the feeder. The rest of our calves we dehorn. Boy, I don't like it when these yearlings will nurse sometimes. We had a calf and a yearling on the same mom. You got milk face, buddy. A few other questions I get all the time. Do we vaccinate our cattle? We do not vaccinate our cattle. We run a closed herd. The only way cattle leave here is going to the butcher house. We don't buy in any cattle, though we may have to buy a bull some years down the road from now. So we haven't had any problems. I know there's a chance of deer bringing things in. We haven't had any problems with that. We probably should vaccinate, but we don't. Do we trim hooves? No, we don't trim hooves. We've never had hoof problems. I think you see hoof problems mostly with dairy cattle who may not do as much walking as beef cattle to keep the hooves worn. So we never have to trim hooves. We really don't have any health problems to speak of ever. We don't have any calving problems. We don't have any leg problems, or at least we haven't. So it's pretty simple for us. I mean, taking care of the herd on a daily basis at this time of year when they're in a winter pasture is really simple. We make sure they've got plenty of hay in their bunks. We push the hay up against the bunks as it comes down. We wait for them to almost clean up the hay before we bring in new bales. We feed them a round bale on both sides here so that they have plenty of access to hay. All they want to eat, they get all the hay they want to eat. We use automatic waterers, and usually we run 2 stock tanks, but we've only got 1 here now. The 2 waterers we'll use until it gets below freezing, and then we water with a hose that we drain every time after we fill the water so that the hose doesn't freeze up. We've got a frost-free hydrant on the other side of the barn. That's really about it. I check their mineral once every couple weeks to make sure that they've got mineral in their feeder, which is out in the winter pasture. There's not a lot else to do. Would you like to introduce your chicken, Grace?
This is Jetra.
I wonder if Jetra would enjoy my jokes. So Jetra, what's the difference between an oral thermometer and a rectal thermometer?
She looks like she's thinking about it.
The taste, obviously. Come on, you should know that.
She's outraged.
Well, Gray left, so I guess I'm going to have to tell myself jokes.
They were bad.
You know,
jokes.
they weren't bad jokes.
Yes, they were.
I waited and waited, and I stayed up all night last night looking for the sun, and then it dawned on me. So I had a viewer ask what it takes for us to prepare to go to market every week, and that's what I'm doing now. I'm actually filming this video on Friday, although you're not going to see it till Tuesday, so I'll show you what it takes. On Friday afternoons, I load up the truck with, in the back of the truck here, all the things to set up the booth. So I've got folding tables, farm sign, menu board goes in here, extension cords, signs for the booth, plastic bags, paper towels, all that stuff. And in the front seat, I've got more stuff. On market day, we load everything else in the back of the truck. I've got 2 chest freezers here that are small that we load in, and then we'll load in 2 or 3 of the big coolers that we've got, and a couple small coolers. One's usually full of chicken. The other 2 big coolers are usually full of eggs. And then the smaller coolers also have chicken in them. These small freezers, I usually have beef and pork and extra chicken in case I run out of fresh chicken. And this time of year, I'm also packing in turkey cuts, things like boneless breast. This is a boneless turkey breast, turkey wings, turkey backs for stock. We have about 90 whole turkeys in a bunch of these freezers, and I'm bringing about 10 of them to market tomorrow to people who want to pick them up there. All of our turkeys are sold at this point. And on Friday afternoons, I'm packing these freezers. So I go through each of these bags that we have in here, which has got a different cut in it. And you know, we may stock 60 different items in the height of summer when we've got beef, pork, and chicken all going. And one of the things that's hard to figure out when you start is what to bring to market, how much of each thing. And you just learn by feel after a while that, oh, the weather today is so-and-so, and this is the time of year, this is what people are buying. In the height of summer, they're buying a lot of boneless breasts and chicken cuts to throw on the grill, steaks, things like that. Burger always sells. When it gets colder out, we're bringing more soup stock things like chicken backs and chuck roast, slow cook, whole chickens. So after a while, you get a feel of what's going to sell at market, and we're able to pack fairly efficiently such that if it's a decent market when we come home, we have very little left in the freezers or in any of the coolers. Linguine with red clam sauce is for dinner tonight. I've made this hundreds of times and got it down to a science. We use tomatoes from our own garden, which are so much better than grocery store tomatoes. If I could be a seafood farmer, I'd be doing that. I love seafood. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you next time.